The European Union Commission warns France, Belgium, Italy and 5 other countries of a budget deficit.
European pigs have found themselves at the center of a trade tug-of-war with China.
The Netherlands' Mark Rutte is lined up to become NATO's next Secretary General after Hungary lifted its veto on his candidacy. In order to secure his position, the outgoing Dutch Prime Minister gave written guarantees that he would not force Hungary to take part in the military alliance's new plans to provide support for Ukraine. NATO's incumbent chief Jens Stoltenberg hailed the progress made on securing his successor.
Så dette betyr at vi veldig nær en beslutning. Det jo ikke jeg som skal beslutte hvem som blir min etterfølger, det det NATOs medlemsland som skal gjøre, men jeg glad for at man nå veldig nær en beslutning, fordi Ungarn var et av de ytterst få landene som motsatte seg Mark Rutte, og når Ungarn nå støtter Mark Rutte, så det svært lite som gjenstår før han valgt.
Mark Rutte is by far the preferred candidate of the majority of NATO allies, including big members like the United States and Germany. Earlier this year, Turkey voiced opposition to Rutte's bid, but lifted its objections in April. And although Romanian President Klaus Iohannis has also put himself forward for the position, officials and analysts believe he will not pose a major problem to Rutte.
In its first days of summer, Turkey is hit by a massive heat wave, with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees in the southern and western regions of the country. Both the humidity rate and the temperature felt are above seasonal norms as people rushed to the sea. Hungary is also suffering from a massive heat wave. The country's national chief medical officer has issued the highest level of heat alert, a level 3 warning, which is in place until midnight on Saturday across the entire country. Experts urge everyone to drink more fluids, as they warn that the heat record could be broken on Wednesday. The European Championship fan zone in Leipzig and Augustusplatz, Germany, were temporarily closed on Tuesday afternoon due to an unexpected thunderstorm. The fan zones in Berlin, Cologne and Düsseldorf have also previously been closed due to a severe weather warning.
A wildfire has broken out in Keropi, a Greek suburb just east of Athens, triggering the evacuation of residents. The local fire service says more than 70 firefighters, assisted by at least 10 water-dropping planes and helicopters, are working to control the blaze, which started in an uninhabited area covered by olive trees and shrubs. The service also said strong winds caused the fire to spread quickly, engulfing at least 2 homes, cars and a number of yachts in flames.
Χρειάζεται πολύ προσοχή. Πρέπει να φέρουμε μπουλντόζες να καθαρίσουν γύρω-γύρω, να μην κινδυνεύουμε γιατί υπάρχει μεγάλος κίνδυνος για να χάσουμε τις ζωές μας και τα σπίτια μας.
It's the latest of dozens of wildfires to break out in Greece over the last few days, as parts of southern Europe swelter in record temperatures from warm air blown across from Africa. Climate experts report Europe is the fastest warming continent, with temperatures rising at around twice the global average rate. Heat-related mortality has increased by around 30% in the past 20 years, with southern Europe bearing the greatest burden of poor health from heat stresses.
The European Commission has warned 8 EU member states over their excessive budget deficits. The warning comes as the Commission relaunches a controversial fiscal intervention and as some of the affected countries face political uncertainty. In Belgium, political parties were trying to form a coalition government, while in France, 2 parties leading the polls for upcoming legislative elections have promised to grow public expenditure.
Any government that's going to arrive to power in July will have a very busy summer preparing a multi-year fiscal plan that has to be more or less compliant with the fiscal rules and more or less, compliant with the economic program under which this government would have been elected. And the reality is that no government, including the current one, really has a plan to address France's fiscal challenges.
Italy, Hungary, Malta, Poland and Slovakia were among the 8 countries that received the warning. Romania, which completes the list, failed to heed previous warnings issued in 2020. Countries with minor or temporary breaches of budget norms were not included. The refusal to comply can eventually lead to fines, according to the EU Commission.
Non dobbiamo confondere la cautela nella spesa con l'austerità. La cautela nella spesa è necessaria per paesi ad alto debito e con un deficit molto alto. L'Italia ha un deficit superiore al 7% e un debito superiore al 135%. E quindi la cautela è d'obbligo e mi pare che il governo italiano ne sia consapevole.
The EU's fiscal rules, introduced alongside the common currency in the 1990s, say the imbalance in national fiscal positions shouldn't be over 3% of GDP, with overall debt kept under 60%. When exceeding these thresholds, member states must ensure a downward path.
The worst situation are in Romania and Slovakia, where the budget deficit is 7 and 6% this year, well above the 3% limit. And these are followed by Hungary, Poland, and France, with a budget deficit somewhat over 5%.
The framework being reintroduced was suspended in 2020 during the COVID crisis, and subsequent energy price explosion led governments to make unprecedented economic interventions.
2 climate activists have been arrested after they sprayed orange paint on England's ancient Stonehenge monument. The incident comes a day before thousands are expected to gather at the 4,500-year-old stone circle to celebrate the summer solstice. The pair are members of the protest group Just Stop Oil, which says it took action to demand the incoming government sign up to a legally binding treaty to phase out fossil fuels by 2030. Police said the 2 protesters were arrested on suspicion of damaging one of the world's most famous prehistoric monuments and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. English Heritage, which manages the site, called the incident extremely upsetting, while Prime Minister Rishi Sunak took to X to brand the group a disgrace. Just Stop Oil says it plans to escalate protests this summer, next targeting airports across the UK.
European pigs have found themselves at the centre of a trade tug-of-war. Pork is a hugely important market for a lot of European Union nations. When a Chinese probe into imports of pork from the EU was opened, it caused concern from farmers who make a significant portion of their money from exports to China.
Le marché chinois, il valorise des pièces comme les oreilles, les pieds et on va dire toute la tête. Ce sont des parties bien évidemment qu'ils apprécient, la gastronomie locale les valorise très bien, alors que nous n'avons pas ces habitudes de consommation-là et on préfère leur laisser.
Retaliatory measures on pork come as no surprise to international trade experts. Last week, the European Union slapped additional tariffs of up to 38% on Chinese electric car imports. The German Vice-Chancellor Robert Habeck is travelling to China as tensions escalate.
Ein enorm wichtiges Land für Deutschland, für Europa in jeder Beziehung. Diese Beziehungen sind in der Vergangenheit sicherlich deutlich komplexer geworden. Zu nennen sind die wirtschaftspolitischen Auseinandersetzungen, jetzt vor allem mit den E-Auto-Zöllen, noch einmal an einem Beispiel hochgekocht. Das wird sicherlich die Reise stark prägen, wenn
China imported billions worth of pork from the EU last year, with this trade tug of war meaning it could be the European agricultural sector on the chopping block.
The party is on in Germany, as the hosts are the first team to reach the Euros round of 16. The Mannschaft booked the ticket after a solid 2-0 against Hungary in Stuttgart. Wonder kid Jamal Musiala found his second net in 2 games, setting up the team for yet another convincing performance. In the other Group A game, Scotland got their first point against Switzerland, but they wasted their initial lead with an avoidable defensive mistake that served the opponent the leveler on a silver platter. The result keeps Switzerland comfortably ahead of Scotland and Hungary. Croatia and Albania drew 2-2 after an emotional game. Within the space of only 2 minutes, Croatia managed to equalize and take the lead. But it wasn't meant to last, as Albania snatched an incredible leveler at minute 95. The 2 teams remained stuck behind Italy and Spain with 1 point each.